So Steve, tell us about what you're going to be talking about today.
Okay, well, it's going to be about sketching and temperature, specifically greens. I think we've got about 34 paintings and sketch sets that we would like to look at today. And if this all goes well, I would challenge the whole group to continue on this theme for next week. Use what you learned today and apply that to next week's sketches and paintings, and you'll see a vast improvement. I almost guarantee this. I would like to just have a short minute on kind of a plug on new classes and workshops that I just launched today. They are two are going to be at the Morton Arboretum. We'll have all safety and social distancing implied or executed for that. Those workshops, distancing is not an issue, especially when you're plein air painting, but I will stay 6 feet away from you. If I come up to your easel, I will ask you, if I do work on your painting, I'll use my brushes, and I'll ask you to step away as well. So, and I'll be wearing a face mask during those times. So I have two at Morton Arboretum. They're going to be in July, end of July, and end of June and end of July, as well as two at the Botanic Gardens, and those will be in end of August and mid-September. And lastly, I am starting I'll be on the faculty for the Plein Air South. I want to thank Nancy King-Mertz for recommending me to be a part of that faculty. They will be hosting a convention. It's not a conference, meaning or it is a conference, not a convention, like the Plein Air Convention. It's more of a smaller conference. It's if you are interested, it's down in Florida, in the Panhandle of Florida, end of September 27th through October 1st. It's a 5-day span, and hopefully things will clear up by then. If you get in you can get in at about a $200 rate if you want to volunteer. And I would encourage you guys to volunteer at that rate. Otherwise, it's going to be $600, $599, I think it is, for that conference.
Steve, could I say something about that area? It's
sure.
Old Florida. It's just amazing. They're not high rises. It's old fishing villages, lots of natural beach and marsh area. It's really a wonderful area to paint. There's so much interesting stuff there. I've been there many, many times for their Forgotten Coast 10-day event. And after the 10 days, I'm like, I'm not done. There's more I want to paint. So, so you'll love it.
Good.
We have a question. Are any of your workshops on the weekends?
They are all on the weekends. It's a 2-day week workshop for $200, all day, Saturday and Sunday. From 9 to 4, we'll have break for an hour lunch. But I've had these in over a couple of years, both at Morton Arboretum and at Botanic Gardens, and beautiful, beautiful places to paint. Okay, let's start at the beginning. I think Kuhn submitted this a couple of days ago. This was his sketch. I love this sketch, Kuhn. I love it when you take the subject that you're viewing, you're writing notes down here, write down also the emotions that you're feeling. This tends to link the emotions that you're feeling with the scene, and actually write a word or two, phrase. You'd be amazed at how often that phrase links up with the title of the piece that you're painting. I love these little thumbnails as well, simplified versions of the sketch or new alternatives to something you want to try. Keep this in mind for when you're sketching this. I love the start of the shading here. You seem to stop here. This is a new discipline that sketching is an added discipline to painting, and but I encourage you all to kind of stick with it for a couple of weeks. It will pay huge dividends. Trust me on this. Use the white of the paper as the whites or the light part of your images, your sketch, your composition. That white is a color that's already there, or if you're using a toned sketchbook, which are really cool, they like buff colors. Bring also a white pencil so you can add white areas to that. I love this one up here just for the simplification of light, medium, and dark. So good job on this, Ken. This is the painting. Go back to the sketch a bit, and I would also add maybe a little temperature notes. Look for those cool and warm gradations of value and temperature. I think the image is here. The overall green is pretty much the warm green, but you as the artist, Kuhn, have to decide distance. You have to design depth into your painting. These trees are further away from you than this grass, so cool those off. Add a little more blue to that green, and those trees will go back. Likewise, the grayness of this building is seen in the image. I would cool that off even more, and certainly gray up these, and you get a lighter gray on this building. I think you use the same gray from this building to this building. A lighter gray would certainly push this building even further back. Good job, Kuhn, on that one. Richard, I don't think there's a sketch on this one, but beautiful, beautiful composition, Richard. I love your clustering of sky holes. This one has an O composition or radiating line composition. If there's a single book that you buy this year, I'm going to recommend two. One is, if you don't have it already, Edgar Payne's Composition for Outdoor Landscaping. It's going to set you back about $50, $60, $70, but it's worth every penny. And the second book I'll recommend is kind of a book that I found. I don't know where I found this, but it's called Walking in Wonder by John O'Donohue. And if you like the outdoors like I do, if you love landscape, it's called Walking in Wonder. It's just, John O'Donohue is this Irish philosopher, artist, writer. He's got a number of expertises in his background. He just recently died a number of years ago, but he left us with a lot of books, and Walking in Wonder is one of them I'm currently reading or listening to. But going back to Edgar Payne's book of composition landscape, look at the O here. Beautiful, beautiful O. Also radiating lines with shapes and images for pointing us to that little farm way off in the distance. The coolness of that mountain is a cool blue versus the warmer blues that are up in front here. In the, it looks like blue bonnets. Good job, Richard, on this one. Mariel, I love this sketch. Look at the sea composition on this one here of the darks. The middle values operate in this shape right here, and then the lights are right here. And then you've got this vertical tree slightly off center. Great composition for this sketch. Again, use this sketch to kind of take notes on colors and warmths and cools. I love this diagonal line in here, as well as this horizontal. It's a really good composition. Center of interest is going to be right here where you can see it, where the contrast is highest between the water and the tree. Right in there. Oh, let's go back to the painting. And again, I love the warmth that you got in here. This concentration of energy and objects and shapes. You know, you're just bringing everything to this spot right in here. I love the coolness that you have in these trees. Light is clearly coming in from the left, just, you know, giving us a nice warm glow. The only feedback I would give you would be watch your sky holes. This is a little light, and the edges are a little hard for that area. My eye wants to live here in this detail, but it's going up here because there's high contrast up there. It's calling my eye. So watch for those sky holes, and the size of those sky holes looks like all the brush size that you're using to lay that down. Just vary the size of that a little bit. Good job on that one. Jean Young. This is her photograph. Jean Yang, sorry. Beautiful image, by the way. This is the painting. This looks like an underpainting, and then here's her sketch. She's using markers, and I would encourage you guys to get a set of these markers. If you find the pencil line is distracting you, get a set of the value markers, which are 20% or 30%, 50%, 70%, and 100% in grayscale, and use those to sketch your lights, mid values, and darks. Good overall design. There's a nice cross shape or L shape way back there, and big foreground of these what are these called? Can't think of the name.
Beatrice, maybe? No.
Yeah, purple Beatrice.
Mm.
I love the motion line here of these lights going up to giving us a nice center of interest right in here. This looks like an underpainting from the sketch. Good start on this. I love the tree back in here and the way you handled the soft edge. This got too busy too quickly, I think. I kind of like this better. Bigger shapes, simplified shapes. Don't feel like you have to add all the detail. You know, it's okay to have larger shapes of quiet and calm, and let your hero, your center of interest, really shine and sing. But you kept that motion. That's good.
Thank you.
Leanna, this is a painting here, photograph, and the sketch. Did you do two, Leanna?
Yes, yes, I do 2 paintings
Okay.
in one time. Yes.
Okay. This is a beautiful little sketch of the lilacs. And lilacs are hard to do. I love painting them, but
Thank you.
they are hard. Mainly, if you squint down, you'll see, which squinting will eliminate the details. Also, because I've been nearsighted pretty much my entire life, I can take off my glasses. Everything gets blurry. I don't have to squint. So I have built-in eyes for an artist. But by squinting, you'll eliminate the details, and the values kind of come together. And the values of that purple and that value of that green is very close together. But I love the action and the energy you have of this quick sketch. It's
Thank
just,
you. That
really,
just start. Yes.
it's very free. You know, I wish most of us has the courage to lay this thing down like this. This is good. Let's talk about this one.
Okay.
I think if we're doing 2, why don't we save 1?
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of other people that have put in theirs.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, good job on this one, Leanna.
Thank you. Mhm.
Julie, watercolor, sketch, and the painting. I think there's a scene in here as well. Here's the scene. Good start on the sketch, Julie. Next time, go spend a little more time on it. And I would encourage you to find those bigger shapes of light, medium, and dark. And let those light, medium, and dark shapes really lead you to make design decisions. Because I think there's a lot in here that you could really make some good choices on. As far as these banks of trees back in here, make those, since those are further back, make those a little cooler. Make these trees warmer. And then I love the foreground of these shapes. You've got a great opportunity to give us some negative painting or even vignette the shape out to reveal these cattails. So it's whether it's using mask or just not painting in this area, just give us a break of this bottom shape and reveal those foreground cattails. That's a cool way of doing it. But I think you got a little confused as far as shapes. And give us a little more consistency of background shape, foreground shape, and then these beautiful, beautiful dead reeds back in here give us a really nice warm glow. And the shape of this shape versus this shape is ideal. You've got a nice big shape here, smaller shape over here. And give us, on the painting, you gave us a nice center of interest with the heron. I like that. I like that a lot. Because I don't see the heron in here. So you made that design decision there. Joanne, painting. I think that's a sketch. There's the scene. Is this a second painting and then or in addition to? not sure. Looks like an underpainting here, and then the final painting here. So I like the coolness that you have in the greens, and then the warm greens in front. Again, purple flowering tree that you have in here, I think might be too light. I think your greens are warm over here. I'm not seeing a direction of light, and it looks like an overcast day. And when that happens, I love painting in overcast, because then it's all about color and shape and form. And the form is going to be light on top, warmer on, or darker on the bottom. Look at the overall equal lighting on this tree here. But as you come around underneath, it's curving under, so you're going to get that darker shape. So your colors are more vibrant, more consistent, and you're not going to get that that hot green, because you don't have that sunlight that's hitting that. So good effort on this one. RC, there's the
Hi,
photo.
Steve. How are you?
Good. This is an interesting sketch. I love the areas that you circled and highlighted. You're using the sketch for what a sketch is for. It's just a brain dump of content, just little notes to yourself. I love warmer greens, blue water, light areas, dark foreground. Good. And there's the photo, and then the painting.
You know what? This may be the spot where it, oh, there it is. Good. All
There.
right.
I think there was 2 copies of the photo and the sketch, but anyway, watch the coolness of this blue in the photo. It's a little warmer. You might be adding too much blue.
Okay.
And then you've got this very similar warmth to the green over here as to the green here. You're picking up the hotter greens, which are good for the foreground, but I would save this gray cool green for way back in here, and then bring this warmer green that you're using here over to here. But I love the feel of the water reflections. We're going to talk about reflections on a couple more. Good job.
Thank you.
I don't think, oh, there was a bird in there.
It was difficult going off of a photo versus being outside.
Yeah. When you have this detail of a bird, or in any other scene, people, animals, look at the I think the best way to paint these is as simple as possible. The shape enough alone is enough to capture our attention. And find the simplest way of adding the detail, not the simplest, the cleanest way of adding detail. Because if you start painting a little more and more detail, like, even the speckle in the eye, and it's going to be it's going to look like it's cut out and pasted on there. It's not, the painting isn't going to be like a continuous style. So don't change style just because there's a bird in here, or an animal, or a person, or whatever. The shape alone tells us that there's an animal there. Paint the face and the body the same style as you're painting its environment. So
Good.
okay.
Thank you.
Barbara, I love this one, Barbara. Look at all these notes. Very cool. You're giving us, and all these sketches, you're giving us kind of a behind the scenes look, or under the hood, let's say, under the hood of your thought process, and you're dissecting the scene. I love the arrow with the sky, the light coming in this way. You eliminated things where you thought you didn't want or would not add to the scene, like this huge tree here.
Yeah.
You just totally eliminated that.
Yes.
And I want to congratulate you for making that call.
Thanks. Oh,
People, artists are, they feel like they have to be a slave to the scene that they're painting. And that's not true. We are not copiers, we are interpreters. So great call on that. On the other side, I want to give you some feedback on composition, in that the tree over here would have worked, maybe not coming right out of the fountain, but maybe over here. And it would have given you a beautiful L-shaped composition, and it would have kind of anchored this side a little bit more. And if you would have taken your sketch and given yourself the definite shapes of darks, you've got some good midtones in here, up in here, and here, and then the lights is the light of the paper. But take it another little bit further and give us a little more definitive shape of those darks.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, that makes sense.
And then if you have a dark shadow shape down here, watch the lights within
Okay.
your shadow shapes. Because you're getting mixed up between your if this is a shadow, it should be in shadow.
Okay.
Light, it's
Uh,
going to be in light.
okay.
And then watch the consistency of shape sizes right here. Add a little more variety. Whether the photo had it or not, doesn't matter. Everybody, it's don't be a slave to that photo, which you're not, but
Yeah.
give a little more variety. And I love the turning of this, and then really nice, cool background in there. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, look at the variety of shapes in there.
I know. I got confused.
Sue, beautiful painting here, Sue. Let's talk about water. I
Yeah,
love the scene here. The sketches, you gave us a couple of sketches. I love these. Look at the thirds that she gave us here. She had a choice between maybe a center of interest over here or here. Light sources coming this way. Lights, darks. Good job. Thirds.
I actually changed the position of, because I had several choices and I changed the position of the bridge was a big significant change for me.
Yeah,
I originally had it high up and then I put it, or low down and then I put it high up.
good. Okay. Look at the notes. Doesn't matter what they say. It's just telling me that you're taking this sketch to the next level. You're doing a mind dump on this sketch just getting it out from your head is just so freeing. It almost gives you permission to think of something else now. And when you're planning in this sketch phase, you're giving yourself a 2, 3, 5 minute time to just edit and select the scene. And within that time frame, you're making decisions that will totally affect that outcome of that painting. So good job on this. On reflections.
I'm ready to talk about my painting right now.
Okay. Water is, if you're a musician, there was a thing that we had in the 70s, 80s called like an equalizer, where it would take the high notes and it would drop those high notes a little bit lower. It would take the low notes and raise them up a little higher. I think it's an equalizer, it was called. Water is the same thing. It'll take those low notes in the darks and raise them up slightly lighter in the water. It'll take those high notes in the lights and darken them just slightly in the water, in the reflection. So it'll equalize or neutralize reality just in a slight different way. So keep that in mind next time. So you're painting beautiful darks up in here. I love these darks. The willow is beautifully done. But take those darks and lighten them up a little bit. Bring them up and capture the dark in the water a little bit lighter in reality. Capture those lights. When you did this, you took the lights of the reeds and you darkened it a little bit, which is good, perfect. And you did it. You did that for the sky as well.
Okay, so
Did you understand that too?
yeah, I think so. In other words, underneath the brush, that dark should have been a little bit lighter as opposed to the light brush, which could be a little bit darker. I see.
Yeah, you got the light high notes, a little darker in the water. Take those dark notes that are in the trees and make those a little lighter in the water.
Gotcha.
I think you went darker in the water.
Yeah, I did.
Good lily pads. Good clustering here. Good job. Okay.
Thank you.
Shannon. I absolutely love this sketch, Shannon. For a number of reasons. It's you're taking the sketch to the next level of design, which I want everybody to look at this. She's using kind of a buff sketchbook with white pencils, and she's actually taking this shape. And I don't really care what this is, what this scene is. She's she's unified the sameness of this value and just created for me a really interesting shape. She's giving me a little island of light right here, and then she's given me a nice light shape here, and maybe a middle value would have been nice up in here, or even a darker shape down in here. But I love just the beauty of this sketch all by itself. Look at the 1/3, 2/3 framing area. She's centered down in here for her, what is going to be her center of interest. Shannon, write little notes down here, little words that come to mind. It's going to serve you well for titling, story creating, and everything else. Great job on this. I love the warmth versus the coolness. I love the way you handle these lilacs. Greens are fantastic. in my description, I mentioned the leaves themselves are actually flat planes, or primitively are flat planes pointing in different directions. If they're pointing to the light, they're receiving that warmth of the sunlight. If they're pointing away, typically they're receiving the blue cast from the sky. If you do have a sunny day, chances are you're gonna have a blue sky. I love how simply you painted these shadows. Gorgeous, gorgeous job. I think I can zoom in on this. Can I?
I
No.
was wondering if I went too pasty with the shadows and I should have done a more vibrant color. When I look at the actual photo, I'm like, oh no, that's actually a lot more purple than I painted it.
In the white?
In the shadow part of the lilacs, yeah.
Okay. I love the purple. It's just a really, you see these purple, light purple lilacs everywhere now. One thing I want to just touch on briefly is, and CW Monday talks a lot about this, and Bouguereau, if you look at some of Bouguereau's paintings, landscape paintings, he does mostly figures, but his landscapes within those figures, he'll do this technique in that right at the shadow edge where the shadow turns to the light, he'll give us a slight outline or a darker line than shadow is in certain areas. And you have it right here and a little bit up in here. And what that does is it just kind of gives the eye the illusion of a turned angle, and it'll illuminate the shadow area. The whole shadow area becomes alive just because you have that dark edge. It's almost like a line, an outline. So just keep that in mind as not everywhere, but in some areas it needs that, and you got it. A little bit more could just be a touch. Good job on this one, Sharon. Oh, and there's the picture. Look at the dark line right there and right up in here. And then just by simplifying this whole shadow down, which is what you did, you're giving us a beautiful feeling of, you know, the light on that lilac. Dana, this is her sketch. Beautiful, beautiful C-shaped composition. Here's the final painting. I don't think there's a photo reference, but let's go to her sketch again. And good shapes in that you're leading us up to this path, and you're giving us a nice smaller shapes to look at up in here. This looks like the underpainting of the final here.
Yeah, it is an underpainting, yeah.
It is, okay. I love the coolness that you have in here. And look at her, the gray-green that she has up in here. She's warming that green up here and then giving us even more warmer greens down in here. And then look at the shadow, the fun that she has in creating these shadow shapes. This is phenomenal paint and brushwork, Dana.
Thank you. It was fun.
Watch this warm spot so far up in here. You know, my eye is going up in here. I would put it more down here, but I love the warm you have up in here. And then look at the linear perspective. Now, linear perspective is not always when you're doing buildings, you know, going 1 or 2 point perspective. She's got linear perspective in the footprints going up the hill of sand. Things are getting smaller squishier and flatter, and then they just disappear into a very nice shape. So this is a beautiful piece.
Thank you.
I don't have anything bad to say.
Well, that's good. I'm making progress. Good, good. Thanks, Steve.
Good. What size is that, by the way?
That is like a 12 by 12, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, it's square. What do you think about squares? Are they cool? Do you like squares?
I love painting squares, but I love this composition. This, you know, you gave us different points of entry and exits. You know, this shape here is different than this shape here, different than this shape here. So it's really cool.
Thank you.
You know, this shape is different than this shape, which is different than this shape. So a lot to learn on this one, folks. A lot to learn from this one. Deborah, I love your sketch on this, Deborah. You took some good time on this. I love the notes that you have, the coolness of these trees, and the warmth down in here. You gave us a time stamp, which is another information for time of day. Warmth over here, warm over here, and then all this down here. Here's the scene. Good shape, good decision on warming or cooling off these distant trees. You know, I love the red brick on that chimney. I don't think you gave us that, but that would have been a nice little feature of red right up in there. And it's surrounded by dark, so it would have been a really good, nice focal point. Beautiful trees. Light coming in this way over here. Watch the, when you add the yellow on top of the green, you know, you gotta add that yellow first, and then always cool it. You can cool it off more than lightening and warming it up. Good warmth down in here, and your building looks solid. Good job, Deborah.
Thank you.
How are we doing on time, Mary?
Well, it's 1:15. You have, I think you're doing really well.
Okay. Time enough for that space launch at 2:15.
You keep going. That's great.
Okay. Good sketch, Cindy. I love this big C shape with the distant horizon. Also include the sky. This is a sky painting. Yeah, you have a nice big shape here and a structure, but also include the shading of that sky. It just needs a little bit more definition. You've got some good lines in there. And this is nice to kind of tape the photo into the sketchbook. The painting, again, you followed the sketch pretty well. You got a little confused and a little muddied on the sky. And here's where the light of the sky should be a little bit darker in the water. And then the light of the blue should be a little bit darker in the water. If you look at the photo, the water is a little bit darker. The blue, a little darker in the cloud shapes. And then I would silhouette this even more. If this is oil paint, I would go in with a glaze of ultramarine blue and a little bit of hint of transparent red oxide. Keep it transparent, both ultramarine and and red oxide are transparent, and just kind of glaze over this on the cool side.
Uh-huh.
That'll keep that all in shadow and shade, and then illuminate the sky shape down in here. And you could glaze over this with a little bit of ultramarine and a little bit of transparent yellow earth if you want. Just to take down that water just a little bit.
Okay.
And then watch your perspective on this. This is a little too harsh. I think you need to fix the perspective. If your horizon is down here, because this is flat, this angle is too extreme.
Okay.
You're going to need to look at the photo a little bit more. This is better. You're coming down with the angle, and this is a little more correct.
Okay.
Rich, amazing job, Rich, on this sketch.
Thank you.
I think everybody needs to take a screenshot of this. Look at his marks. It looks like a pen that you're using, right?
Yeah, it's actually a sepia India ink pen that I've used on a lot of what do you call it? Political cartoons and stuff. So I really like them, and they're permanent.
Good. Look at how he's using his line work to create shading. You know, he's given us an overall shape from his background. And as he's doing this, because I know what you're thinking when you're creating these shapes, you're thinking, here's a shape. Here's a unified shape that I will paint later. I'll go into that shape with a little bit darker edges, lower, deeper values. And when you're creating little lines, little definitions of shapes. Look at this beautiful shape right in here. This beautiful C shape. Nice rocks formations in here. Good leading line coming in. He actually wrote down entry into this. And he's given us a beautiful path to follow. And he's changing. If there's a buoy out here, he made it, wanted to make it red. 1/3, 2/3 up in the distance in here. It's given us some really good color notes. And then the painting itself. But look at how cool he kept this green and how gray. That goes a mile back there. And then it turns into rock, and he's trying to capture the rock underneath the water. Look at the reflections on the water here. My only concern is this shape in here. You lost that big curve, but you got a good dark shape right in here that kind of leads us off the edge here. I would bring us something back out over into here and then back to the buoy. So the sketch is this shape and this shape you didn't capture in the in here. So but I love how you got the nice red buoy back there, good reflections. Great job, Rich.
Thank you.
And everybody should take notes on this beautiful sketch. Rita, I love this one as well. It's looking like you're using the side of the pencil in some areas you're using the point of the pencil. All really good stuff. It's a huge, big C shape here. Foreground, middle ground, background, light, medium, dark, or low contrast, middle contrast, deep contrast. Now, when it comes to painting the greens, let's talk about greens. and the actual paint you're using, it looks like you're using Viridian up in here. And then for this bush here, you're using Viridian with white, and that's cooling it off even more. And then over here, it looks like you switch over to like a sap mixed with yellow. Find a way to, number one, limit the use of Viridian, and don't use Viridian straight, because it's just unless the overall painting is going to be a Viridian painting. Find ways of mixing in the complement of Viridian, which is the alizarin crimson or quinacridone red. Even quinacridone violet will kill Viridian, the power of that Viridian enough to gray it down. And then watch the warmth of the green that you have up in here on this plant. Now, plants themselves.
The puddles that you described in your, yeah, but I don't think I toned the blues back enough.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, you know, every now and then mix in those cool greens with the warm greens. Cool green dark, mix in with the warm green dark to get that middle value right in here. So if you got a warm foreground, get a kind of a neutralized middle ground and then a cooler background, cool gray background. Love how you treated these flowers. Look at the photograph. You got one flower here, but you made a choice to separate these two flowers apart. Looks like this would have been a bad composition, and I agree. This is a more pleasing arrangement up in here. But when you have this one little satellite out here, this is screaming, look at me, or I want to live down here. So you could maybe lower this one if need be. Or just make the painting about this, you know. And ask yourself, do I really need this flow going out to the top? You know, do I need all this support cast when it's all about this? And when you and I'll find myself just painting a flower study or a cluster of flowers, because this doesn't really add to this. You know, so you could crop this and just make it all about this. And that's in the sketch phase. That's where the power of the painting is going to be right here. Ask yourself, does this support this? And if it's needed, then yeah, put it in, but not leave it out. Is this Mary?
It's John Hines.
John Hines. Look, he must be an engineer, because I've seen this in engineering. But take another screenshot of this, and these are great questions that he's asking himself, and he's gone to the point of just a checklist just to make sure he's covered every little nook and cranny of his decision-making process. He's not leaving anything to chance. So grab a copy of this and make a list for yourself. If something is not important, you know, move on. Of course, this is sideways, but good lights, middles, and darks. Look at it as an abstract. You know, look at it upside down. If it's working in the design, I think it's good either way. I would include an anchoring here if this is the bottom. You know, the center of interest is going to be certainly the bridge or the architecture that you have, but look for those in kind of a C or an L shape way of anchoring it, and you've done that with the greens. anytime you have an architecture, especially this archway, you're going to have that's going to be your center of interest. And if that's the case, the viewer's eye is going to be looking at the bridge, not necessarily this tree, even though the tree is in the foreground. To use this tree as a foil for the bridge. Watch the sky holes. You're getting too much light in those sky holes. It should be a little bit darker, and a little grayer, and a little softer on the edges, I would say. And let that bridge be your highlight and really shine. I love the coolness you got in the shadows down here. Good job, John. Tom, beautiful painting, Tom. Here's the photo. You gave us a grayscale, and here's a sketch. Look at the thought process behind his shape making in this. This is beautiful, beautiful sketching. He's given us a nice big dark shape here, middle value here, lights in the sky, and then over there. This is hard to do. One thing I would compliment you on is the way you follow the sketch. Two things I would question you on is if you're painting from a photograph, which you are, the darks tend to get darker or blown out, so there's not much detail in there. In real life, this sidewalk would be a little bit lighter in shadow than the green.
Yeah,
So,
it's funny because I painted this in plein air, not from the photo.
oh, you did. So it was.
I did come back and work that shadow a little bit later, though.
Okay. Because the lightness in here,
yeah,
darkness in the grass is not carrying in the shadow. So I would go a little bit lighter in here.
Yeah.
And this is correct in that cool green shadow. And then this is very difficult to paint distant dark trees up against the dark evergreen, but you handled it well. I would have gone a little bit lighter on this distant tree.
Mm-hmm.
That'll make that tree shape pop a little bit more. But look at when I was talking about your two light sources in the sky, the warm light, hitting this concrete, and the cool skylight hitting the cool shadow side of this. This is where you see those two light sources. In fact, great painting in here.
Thanks. Hey, can I ask you a question, Steve?
Yeah.
I was struggling a little bit trying to get the distant part of that path to recede. It was actually a lilac bush in the distance, and when I kind of made it look more like a lilac, I felt like running forward.
Okay.
I guess I'm just trying to figure out how much atmosphere to push to really get a really good effect there. Should I sort of blur it out and blue it out more?
Yeah, I would blue it, and ask yourself, is that shape, is that character in that painting really necessary in order to create what you're, the center of interest is going to be right in here.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you have to copy that lilac bush, as beautiful as that was.
Yeah.
Back here, is that a detail that's really needed? I think you handled it well. To make this go back even further, just give us a little line. Maybe the grass is closing that shape up, and then give it a little more, like another peak of the path that continues back there, and then it just disappears behind here.
Yeah. Can I ask you one more question? I don't want to take all your time, but the blue was so intensely blue, and I liked bringing some sky holes in And after I put them in, I tried to make them a little darker, but they seem to get very loud and blue. Would you gray them out while you darken them as well? The sky hole.
Gray them down,
Yeah.
and then you see them here.
Yeah, yeah.
I like the clustering. You know, get a big one here, and then two smaller ones here, but soften the edges and just kind of blur that out. But I think you handled it well. This is beautiful. Like I said, beautiful shapes right in here, and I love the way you did this concrete.
Thank you. I'm an architect, so that comes naturally.
Oh, okay.
It's rendering, you know.
Oh man, 35 years of it for me.
Oh.
All right, Elizabeth. Beautiful scene here, Elizabeth. Tell me this is not your backyard.
No, my sister has a caravan in Wales, and so this is from the caravan site. So.
Oh, beautiful. Let's all go there. And,
She's not allowed to go there right now because Wales is still closed off, so she hasn't seen it for a while.
Oh, man.
Is a caravan an RV?
No, it's more. You can think of it as like a mobile home. That's probably the American equivalent.
So here's the scene. Here's Elizabeth's sketch. Take a little more time with the sketch, Elizabeth, and really define these dark shapes. Connect them up. You know, add the cow. You know.
Yeah, I decided to leave the cows out.
Okay.
That was a deliberate choice.
Mid-tone, you labeled it, which is good. But go in and, you know, I would say this would be your mid-tone, and then the darker would be, you know, these darks back in here would be up front here.
Yeah, I don't normally do sketches, so this was kind of a first. So
good. You know, I love the warmer, cooler. You're paying attention to temperature, which is a really good thing. Painting turned out well. I love the coolness of this shadow. You've given us a nice base, kind of really rest, and then of course the focal point is the house. And anytime you have an piece of architecture or person, it's going to be an eye magnet out there. But and then I love the coolness of these trees. Watch the unifying shapes of these. Even though they are, you know, some shapes, there's clusters. Make some of those bigger and some smaller. Look for those differences. And then the sky, nice gray, cloudy sky. Good. And then you kept this really nice and warm. This down here, like I said, calm, soft areas. I would bring some of this warmth, just some touches here and there. It doesn't look like it's connected or it's painted. This painted really smoothly, and then this is a different technique. Yeah. Good. And let's do one more, and then let's take a break.
Great.
Robin, here's the photo. Good sketching, Robin. This is not easy to do. Again, look for those big shapes of light, dark, flat plane here, and then a dark shape of all these trees and a light sky. So you've really got 1, 2, 3, 4 shapes. I think I would darken up these trees and these light holes in here.
Yeah.
In sketching, when you're sketching, confuse you. So fill those in. You know,
Okay.
it's all complete mass. It's all a complete shape. And then when you go in and draw branches and there's light behind it, it's going to confuse you. So go in and like Rich did, just line work, shape that all in. That's telling your brain that this is one complete shape. Boom, done. Then you then deal with the water shape. Typically reflections, you're going to have lighter shapes down in here for skies. And then this sky is going to be your lighter shape. And then this shape over here. Painting wise, the thing I love about this painting is right in here. This is beautiful, beautiful shape making. Everybody can take note of this area right in here. The sky, the clouds, the blue, the distant blue here. You just went off and just painted. Oh man, this is like a constable painting right here.
All right, 1 inch of constable.
You got a little confused down in here.
Yeah.
Take these, take this shape making ability that you have. Oh, look at this. Look at the beautiful shapes in here, and just paint these shapes, unify shapes, make them bigger. These are small shapes back here, but just in the middle ground, make them bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And then even though now you're getting big shapes in the foreground, make them even bigger. So
Okay.
the shapes you're making way back in here are linear perspective is what I'm trying to say. Is so you got a big shape here and just leave it this beigey brown. You don't have to introduce smaller shapes because you see detail. I want to see more painting like this. Okay.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Struggling with water, so I'll keep struggling.
Just cut this out right here.
Yeah.
No, you could finish this painting. And then, like I said to Marcy's comment about her painting, this is good painting on this duck. Cluster these two together. And I think these are well painted for the shapes that they are. But I want to see more painting like this up in here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, have at me, Steve.
All right, Mary. Good O-shaped composition. If you follow Edgar Payne's composition for outdoor painting, which I happen to have a copy here. There's the O, and as a primitive shape, he's talking about kind of creating your composition around a central theme, and you've done this well as far as a central composition, gave us a strong anchor down here on the shore, and given us a nice path to follow through here. This is beautiful. Like I said to Robin, this is beautiful painting in here. Your grays, gray greens really work well here. The light green. Watch, and then here's your sketch, and you've given us values, correct, as far as darkness and middle values, and is that what these numbers are for, Mary?
Yeah, right.
And then here's the image. Again, it looks more overcast than clear sky. If that's the case, push those cools, way back. I wouldn't have this warm green up this far back. Save this hot green for down in here. if you even have it. And then let it be a cool painting. Just, you know, limit your yellows, make it more of a viridian and red painting with white, and use the white to cool off the viridian, and use the red to gray up to the viridian. And then if you have to have sap green in the middle, watch those yellows. So that's where a sketch, just talking about looking at the values, now you're bringing in temperature. You know, is this an overall cool day? Overcast clouds are typically cool. Sunny, bright sunny day like we have today is warm. Good. Andrea, I love this painting. The temperature shift from warm over here to cool, great. I love your sketches. You're using the sketchbook and you're dissecting this scene. You're making edit choices, values, and I'd like to see more temperature, which you have the temperature in of warm to cool, or warm to gray warm. But I love how your brushwork is and everything about it. The only thing I would caution you on is when you're painting willows, watch the consistency of shapes. You know, you've got one shape here, kind of the same size 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 here. As soon as you start getting those repetitions, things start getting kind of falling apart. So watch those. This is good clustering right up in here. I love this. Give me a more variety of shapes. But if you can cluster this willow up with this one, just bring them all together. And then as the tree turns, your clustering is going to get smaller and skinnier because you're seeing foreshortening happening over and around here. Even up at the top, you're going to get foreshortening happening on the top of the tree as well. Beautiful coloring down in here. Good job.
Thank you.
Nancy, I looked at this, I thought, oh, this is a beautiful photograph.
Oh.
I love how you did these tulips are just not tulips.
Calla
What are they?
lilies.
Calla lilies.
I think so.
Yeah. This is gorgeous, gorgeous. Everything about this is, I love the greens you got here, variety of warmth and cool coming back here. Your shapes are playing off of each other, and then you're rewarding the journey with a really nice cottage to visit. Watch the sameness of shape though. You know, this one's slightly bigger than this one. And I love how you made it dark so this lily pops out even brighter. Look at everybody else. Look at the clustering of the lilies right in here. It's giving us a nice break, 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 and then more clustering here. It's a beautiful example of clustering. I call it continents and islands. So you've got a nice big continent shape here, little islands coming off. I learned that from John Burton, really good painter out west. So the idea is is you have big continent shapes and the little islands. Big continents here, little islands coming off. We are called shape makers, so our shapes need to replicate the organic shapes that you find in nature. And he calls it the biggest example of elegant design in nature is the world itself. And look at those big continents and little islands that we have as examples. So great job, Nancy.
Thank you.
And here's her sketch.
I put the cart before the horse. Because I actually do a full-size sketch on my surface before I start painting, and
Okay.
do the values and wash it in and so forth. So anyway, I did the sketch from the painting.
I do that sometimes too, just to reanalyze it, and it's a good example. But sketch is really good too. It's I love the big sky shape up in here. Painting itself it doesn't look like direct sunlight, but it's all about shapes. It's all about the colors, the warmth and the cool, which is, I think, you know. Good job.
Thank you.
Deborah. This is her from her home in St. Croix. Here's the sketch. Here's the photograph. Look at the big shapes that she's dealing with here. So big shape, and then one little square of green right in there. So she's captured this big shape. I would extend this shape all the way down in here, like the photo, but and then she's captured that as well. The greens themselves. Let's talk about greens. Watch the hot green back in here, even though the sun might be on that green. You're the designer of this scene, and as a set designer, you have to ask yourself, this hot green, if I put that way back there, it's going to appear like that warmth is right up here. So you have to cool that off and unify the sameness of that shape that's way back there. That'll keep that character way off in the distance. This is gorgeous painting. Good job. I love how gray and cool and you have this water. I see you look at this every day, so I don't see you look at it, but I know you look at it every day. So you know how to paint this, and it looks really well. Well done. This is good painting up in here. Love this detail. But eliminate the detail that's way back in here, even though your eyes see it, and save that for up in here. You know, the warmth that you have right in here is calling the center of interest. But then again, the sharp edges that you have up in here, up against the value of this green, up against this salmon color building, is giving us a high contrast. So you could soften the edges here and then leave the harder edges down here.
Okay, thank you.
Good effort, Deb. Yeah, see how it is hot green back here? You see it?
Yes.
Put it in, it's going to pull that eye right close to us. So even though you see it, you can't put it in there. Okay.
Okay.
It's like you're a set director at the opera. Okay, and if you've ever been to the opera or ballet, You see people, you see the set directors painting these gorgeous scenes, but it's too bright, so they put a gauze, like a sheeting in front of that scene, and it sets it way back. And then there might be another scene that's even in the further distance. So you're creating these layers of scenery that convince the audience that that stage is, 100 yards deep. So you're pushing that distance back by graying it and cooling it off.
Great, thanks.
Bonnie, absolutely love this work, Bonnie. Look at her sketching here. Bold, confident strokes, even at the sketch level. Good, solid shapes. She sees that this is a definite center of interest. She's captured that shadow and light. She's given us some good leading lines, and I love the increments of space that you have in here. There's another black and white study here. Look at the again, the linear perspective that I'm seeing, the choices of shape making. There's a big shape here, little shape here of light, bigger shape of shadow that blends right into this house, a little shape out here. She's indicating this in the sketch, and it has that out here, but she saw it in the sketch and she wanted to add it here. Then she's blued up this green way back in here, and she's given us little tiny shapes, and then given us a nice solid curtain of simple, cool greens back in here. Again, that red tractor is the center of interest. Watch this contrast between here and here. My eye just went from here to here. Just develop that awareness of where your eye is going in the scene, and ask yourself, why is my eye going there? Oh, it's because there's high contrast.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Write that down. This is going to command attention, which is where you want it to be. You could have highlights. I don't know if you're opposed to putting white in, but little white gouache pieces just bring that sparkle back in. Watch the edge of this dark shape going off right to the edge. You could bring another branch up in here if you want. But beautiful, beautiful work. And it shows in your sketch. Good job. Anne doesn't have a sketch, but good effort on this. And it's watch the, I'm not sure if it's a sunny day or cloudy day, because I'm not seeing clear shadow shapes. It looks like it's all in shadow, but then you have some darks in here. So if it's, which by doing that, it's flattening the structure, the architectural elements of this shape versus this shape. So watch that. This is gorgeous painting right in here. And why do I say this is gorgeous and maybe not this? Well, it's bold, confident painting. It's a stroke that you laid it down and you left it. And it's given me enough information to say, this is a Rand checker building that is exposing beams. Whereas here, this is a detail that does not support this. This little dash of red is of a truck that's inside. Give me a sharper edge on that, and I think that'll hold. Like this sharp edge here, up in here, I think that'll be better. Good painting over here.
Thank you.
Sharon, this looks like the sketch on the canvas.
I literally started this painting at 3:30 on Friday. So I was very short in time and very nervous to get it in before 5.
Just made it.
I know.
Good sketch though. I think there's a photo. No.
No, I forgot to add the photo. I keep forgetting to do that.
I love the dynamic angle you have in here. And you've given us a nice straight barn to kind of anchor us in this scene. Watch the center of this line in the center of the panel.
Yeah.
But the whole story is these flowers, which are really well painted. I love the clustering of those shapes. And then watch the tangent you have up here and here, and to that top line right up in there.
Yeah, it's a little too close to the edge. I agree.
And the perspective, sorry. The perspective of this barn should go back a little further.
Yeah.
Just check that out. But I love how you did the flowers.
Thanks.
Good. Lori.
Hi.
Good job on this one, Lori.
Thanks.
What does this say? Mow away.
What does it say? Oh, move away from front gate. Whenever I want to do something that's in the distance, I tend to, as I'm painting it, I keep creeping it closer. So I wanted to make sure I didn't do that.
Good. I love the little thumbnail here. Look at that crosshair pointing us to the center of interest, which is this architectural gate. There's a definitive architectural element in here, and our eyes are attracted to that. So you knowing that, you don't have to add much in the way of edges or contrast, but because it's automatically going to be an attractive eye catcher. Watch the lightness on the sketch here. Okay. I would just darken this whole shape in and just let this really shine. You know, you get this dark shape right in here. Let the light of this gate really shine through, which you did. Ultimately, you did. Beautiful painting, brushwork in here.
Thank you.
My only suggestion is a small one, would be beautiful red color in here. I would find ways of adding it over on this side somewhere.
Okay.
Just to unify this whole painting. But overall, it's got a really nice feel to it. Kim, great sketch, Kim. Is this your backyard?
Yes. Yes.
Look at the cool, she wrote cool, lights coming this way, warm down in here. I would add a cool over on this side.
Okay.
So you start a warm corner down here and go cool up and cool over. And then use that as a underpainting.
Okay.
And then design it going back, so now you have a nice cool background, and it looks like the painting you started on was a red tinted panel.
Yes.
Right. Okay. That's one way of painting it. I like taking that, going even before that, and using the knowledge that you gained from this photograph, which created the sketch. So now you're painting temperature ranged underpainting, toned canvas. So you'd have a warm patch down in here, going to a cool patch up here and all the way down in here. So you're giving yourself, instead of a unified tone of red, you're giving yourself a nice warm and cool toned canvas. And then you can build your painting on top of that. Try that next time.
Okay.
Because once you set this up as cool, you'll see the photograph. This is already painted for you. You've got the coolness of this whole scene. If you go in with like an like a ultramarine blue with a little bit of yellow to kill the blueness, like a transparent red earth or yellow earth, you're creating this coolness already. So when you go to paint these little squares that are in here, it's super easy. All the lattice work is done for you. It's nice, cool, and shade. And then you come in with the highlight of white, that warm white on top of that trellis, and you'll nail it. And then everything else is nice and cool back there. I love the sky holes back in here.
So I have a question about right where you were. That that background from the photo, it's kind of like a warmish, it's a garage or that cool. I wasn't sure to make that like an orange, kind of purple. So I'm kind of stuck with that.
I would make it whatever color you want to make it with. You know, it doesn't have to be this orange. Go with if you have an overall coolness in the background here, okay, and over here is cool. Just go in with like an ultramarine blue with just kill that blue with a little bit of transparent yellow earth, just to warm it up a little bit, or even a purple. Add a little bit of dioxazine purple. Keep it transparent, and then just lay that wash in over here and here, and then just bleed that wash into a nice, red to a nice yellow, transparent yellow earth underpainting.
Okay.
And then let that set up. Add a little Gelka to that. Let that set up for about 20 minutes, and that'll be a nice tack that you could paint in all your shadow shapes. Treat with trees. And then you're setting off, you want to set off this trellis, because that trellis is the hero, right? So, and you're doing it, but you're fighting that warm red underpainting.
So I did that because one of the things I've learned is to get the bright greens to do the red underpainting. So that's a trial for this.
Yeah.
And then so that my greens would look richer with so much green. So I guess I didn't quite get that, or that was my goal.
Yeah, it'll work if you cover up most of this red. It's fighting it too much. The red is fighting too much of your greens. The red is coming forward, whereas the greens are vibrating on top of that red, but you're not achieving that depth. Yeah, you're graying it down a little bit with the scrubbing, but it's still too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then as the clematis grows, my goal is to do more paintings of this, because already, by August, it'll be covering the arch. So I'll have beautiful purple clematis.
Then incorporate the muddy gray purple back in here and use that as that background foil for that. Then the bright purple, and then in the sunlight, that warm clematis with the white trellis. That'll look really nice. What kind of fertilizer are you using on your lawn? It looks beautiful.
I don't know. Yes, my husband.
I'm struggling.
Oh,
All right.
thank you.
Oh, sure, Kim. And we're going up to Cedarburg in the 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
Yeah. A group of us are going up to Cedarburg just to hang out and paint for a couple of days. Cynthia, I got to give you kudos, Cynthia, for tackling probably the hardest subject of this. But I love this right in here. This scene right in here. Right? Right in here. It's a painting in and of itself, whether it's this doorway, the two windows, the shadow. And ask yourself, do I really need all of this information? When really what's important is right in here, or even this front porch. Feel free to, edit it, eliminate what is not needed or too much information when you really want to capture that scene itself. But I love the pattern that you have in here. It's if you going back to Edgar Payne's composition for outdoor painting, I'm going to hold up. He's got one here that's called Patterns, and that's what this is. It's finding the little patterns of shapes, and you did this well. Did you work on this from a photograph, Cynthia?
She was here and now she's not.
Okay. It looks like she did, only from the fact that these darks are super blown out. If it was done from life, as you're looking in this dark, your eyes open up a little bit and you see a little bit lighter, whereas a camera will take that dark and in JPEG format will.
There is a photo. You just.
Excuse me. We'll just darken that, and so, and then in painting, you see dark and you just throw that dark in. Whereas plein air painting, you're going to open that up a little bit more, kind of like what she has up in here. But good effort on this from Cynthia. Loretta, Annette. Again, a difficult subject to paint. These arches. Excellent sketch. I love the light.
Thank you.
I love the light you have on this bridge. Go in with a little bit darker on the shadow side. Look at the warm light in here and the cool concrete. Just fill that in. And then connect up the shape. Even though there's this shape that you have, ask yourself, is that really needed? Where in this do I want my eye to fall? Is it this one, or this one? Typically, it's going to be probably this one, the first complete one with a nice sky hole.
Yeah, I see that.
What you're giving us here. I love the notes in here. Oh, there you go. You got it. Good hard edge. I love the warmth that you did have in here in the shadows. This is good treatment, good brushwork on the light. You could go a little bit darker on the shadow. I like the darkness on that edge.
Okay.
And then the the cool greens. Watch this warm green over here. It's not, it's coming forward. And then like regular sky holes with trees, these are man-made sky holes. So watch the darkness that you have in here. You may see it in the photograph, but you know, it's a hole that
I worked on site but then I came back and worked off the photograph, and I think I blew out the darks on some of the things.
well, like sky holes, you know, don't get them too dark, because it'll be
Okay.
but good blueness of the shadow.
All right.
And this is beautiful treatment of these irises. They look like irises.
Yeah, they're phlox.
Phlox, okay. Good brushing on this.
Phlox. I think that's what they grow wild along the roadside.
Okay. Oh, really
But it
good.
could be iris. I love iris.
Yeah, the iris is coming out of you. Patricia,
I do love them.
here's an interesting subject. It's a nice sculpture in the shady spot. Let me see if she has a sketch. She does. So the light, and then everything else is in shade and shadow. Nice tree shape over here. Dark shape there. Good effort on the sculpture. This is not easy to do. I love the flowers you got in here.
Thank you.
Watch you're adding too much lightness to your shadow shapes, so that it's defeating the purpose of creating the shadow in the first place. So what I'm trying to say is keep your shadows in the shadows and your lights in the light. And as Kipling says, never the twain shall meet. So the lightness that's in the shadow is always going to be a little darker than the darker parts that are in the light. And by getting too much light in your shadows, it's blowing the illusion that there is a shadow. This is all in shadow. And you have little light parts that are coming in, like dappled light, almost too much light in here. But I love how you treated the tree and the fence. This is good job. Looks like a pastel.
Yes, it is. Is there too many strokes going on? Did I get too strokey?
No, I think it's a consistent amount of stroke for the overall piece, especially for these daylilies is what I think these are.
Yes.
But look at the shadow shape of this and how deep value the sculpture is. You can go darker on the shapes and then still maintain that shadow. Bring that shadow back into it. You could leave some of the highlights on it. That's fine, but and then just kind of light or darken up some of these single shapes of blades of grass. That'll all kind of unify a shadow shape under here. But this is well painted, the tree and these flowers. Great job.
Thank you.
And Linda, my 14. She's got a sketch here. Good sketch, Linda. This is this focal point right in here. Darks and lights. Treat the lightness of the paper as the light parts, and all you have to do is then add the middle values and the darks. Here's the scene. So she's captivated by this shape here. She wants to label that as her center of interest. It's a nice large shape, big contrast, hard edges, boldest color. Everything else is supporting this shape. So this dark shape here, the tree coming down. This is an O composition, or even a tunnel composition that your paint points out. So you got a nice natural made tunnel right in here. Good job. I think this is beautifully painted right in here. I would go bolder on this shape, get this bigger, less detail. You could just indicate a few strokes of branches up in here, and then just cover this all up with branches and leaf shapes. Good painting back in here. I like the coolness of this green. Love this coolness. And then the warmth green in here. And then the cool, deeper greens back in here for the shadows.
Would you suggest bringing the reflection of the trees all the way down?
I would bring them down farther and then just cut it off with just line work of sky. You're getting too busy down in here, trying to get a shadow in, or the reflection of this tree in here. Again, this angle down in here. Again, you treated it well. You didn't give us enough contrast to point out over here, but it's, I wouldn't go much more than that.
Okay.
It's bolder on this shape, bigger, a little bigger, and you know, a little, you can get some middle values of greens in here.
Okay.
Got a darker green, light green, get a middle green in here just to give us a rest.
In the reflection or in the actual land?
In the land.
Okay.
Like this green right in here.
Okay.
And then save that hard edge right in here for your, and this whole thing will be your center of interest.
Oh, so one hard edge right there. Okay.
Got it already. Yeah, it just needs a transition of, you have some of it right in here.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it up into here.
I see.
You could easily dapple. I don't know what technique you're using to dapple this. This looks beautiful. But watch the, include some linear perspective in that.
Right.
You're not increasing the size of the shape the closer you get to us. And you got a nice big shape down in here, but then you start little shapes, and those little shapes don't get smaller.
Right.
You've already given us a little shape here. You know, go middle shape, slightly smaller, and then you've got the little shapes.
I see.
That'll force that linear perspective, and then include some of that over here.
Okay.
Nice big shape, little dappling here, and then you reward us with this big shape back in here.
Okay.
Good, beautiful green, cool greens back in here.
So Steve, I think we're at the end here.
Okay.
My thought is, if we want to stop sharing, we could ask people if they have questions that they'd like to ask you. And,
Yeah.
and if you would just raise your hand and let me call on you. So you'll just need to, just to let me know that you've got a question. Anybody? Any questions for Steve?
Cynthia. Cynthia has raised her hand.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm really. Okay, just a moment.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I been out watering and gardening and taking this little this little tablet with me, and I keep losing you.
Okay.
Did you get it? And I apologize for that. That's not your fault. Did you get a chance to look at mine? And if so, I'll just watch the video later.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes.
And then Cedarburg. Did you say some people are going to Cedarburg?
We are. There's my wife and I, Kim.
Yes, and Dee Abate, she's gonna go too.
We're trying to get Valerie Stanizek to go. And, so it'll be nothing formal.
Yeah.
Just go up there and paint. And
Oh, when are you guys going?
I do have a show going on at the Cedarburg Art Museum
Okay.
of my floral paintings. So and those are all for sale as well.
So when are you guys going up? Hello?
June 15th.
June 15th. All right. Thank you for letting us know.
I'll send you a message, Cynthia.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, so it seems like we have.
Question.
Yep, Lori.
Lori.
Steve, could you talk about your different green mixes again? Or further?
Yeah, I'll have sap green as my warm green and viridian as my cool green. And but I'll mix in I'll rarely use viridian. I'll use it only in rare instances, and whenever I do, I'll always mix in a red just to kill that acid look to it. But if I need to cool off my sap, I'll mix in either cobalt or ultramarine, and then I'll mix in my if I need to warm that up, I'll mix in transparent yellow earth, and then with like a cad yellow medium to even warm that up even more. And then if I need to add white, I'll add a little bit of white, but be careful with adding white to lighten it, because you're going to cool that green off. White works well if you're cooling off cool greens, because it's cool already. And so.
Do you add blues to your green?
Yes, ultramarine and cobalt. If it's a somewhat warmer green, I'll add the ultramarine because that has a little bit of red in it. A little bit of, it'll gray it off a little bit more. If I want a more pure blue, I'll add the cobalt.
And really, all those great greens you do is just with sap green mostly.
Yeah. And then
Amazing.
mixing various yellows and blues into it. In watercolor, I use the sap green, ultramarine. I do have jadeite that I use for my dark green. Then I'll use ultramarine to cool that off even more, or sap to warm it up. And I don't use white. I use the transparent mostly with the watercolor.
Could I ask, have you ever used terre verte in oil painting or?
Yes, that's a really cool, dirty, dust. I'll call it not dirty. It's a dusty kind of olive green that is on a light. It's middle toned, but you could use that to create those beautiful gray greens.
Pat, did you have a question? You're muted.
And Linda as well.
Okay, there she is. Hi.
Hi. Oh, you ready for mine?
So Pat, okay, so go ahead, Linda.
Oh, okay. Speaking of colors, Steve, how do you get that bright blue sky color? I've been really working hard trying to figure out how to do these colors.
For my oil painting, I'll use radiant blue. I squeeze out some radiant blue on my palette. It's a Gamblin color makes that color. And if I need to darken that blue, I'll mix in some cobalt blue into that radiant blue. If I need to cool off a green, I'll just take a little bit of dab of that radiant blue and mix into that green. It lightens it and cools it off even more. So radiant blue is a beautiful color, but you could get that by mixing, cobalt and white. It's just a convenience color for me.
I couldn't get it with okay, I don't have cobalt. I was just using ultramarine. That's the problem.
Yeah, get a cobalt. It's more of a pure blue. It's cerulean blue is that ultra cool or warm blue, versus the ultramarine is the warm blue. Cerulean is the cool blue.
Great, thank you so much, and thank you for your tips. Between you and Nancy, you're walking me through learning to paint. Thank you.
Oh, good.
And painting.
Anybody else have questions?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Edgar Payne. How do you spell Payne?
P-A-Y-N-E.
P?
P-A-Y-N-E. It's
And is that a book or?
it is a book. It's Composition for Outdoor Painting. It was written, I'd say in the 20s, 30s, maybe even earlier than that. Edgar Payne was a member of the Palette and Chisel
Oh, okay.
for a number of years. He went to the Academy, he went to the Art Institute, and he was disappointed with their teaching. Oh, there it is. and then so he joined the
Hey, thank you.
he joined the Palette and Chisel in the 1920s, 30s, and he worked there for a number of years, and then he moved out west, and then he fell in love with the western skies, and wrote a beautiful book. It's a heavy read, but it's well written, and I just use these sketches that he wrote in my handout as in my workshops, and I credit his.
I really like that.
Yeah.
That page of them.
Oh, there you go.
Nice. Oh, wow.
Not that that's plagiarism or anything, Steve.
No.
Doesn't he call them stems? Is that what he calls them?
Pardon me?
Those designs that he does that are all inclusive are stems?
Just forms of composition.
Yeah.
He calls them, he's got diagonal lines, tunnels, silhouettes, patterns.
Okay, as a group, I thought he called them stems. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know. Doesn't matter.
And the other, John Burton, was he a palette and chisel person?
No, John Burton. Look him up. He's a living master, I'll call him, out west in California. But he is all about shape making. He's done a few videos. Look him up on YouTube or
Burten.
yeah, Burten. But he is he's a teacher. You could probably take some workshops from him as well. He's, an amazing painter.
Is it B-U-R-T-O-N?
Yeah, Burton.
Okay, thanks, Mary.
Thank you very much.
He's on Facebook. He goes by John Burton Shape Maker. And he's actually been doing classes, daily classes during the quarantine for children. He knows all these high-end artists from DreamWorks that he would call in, and they would do little demos for children. And I sat in on a few of these things, and they were just like so rich of content that
He's not related to Tim Burton, is he?
I don't think so. Yeah, John Burton, shape maker.
It looks like Deborah has a question,
Yeah, Deb.
but we need to unmute her.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask, you talked about the greens, and my painting, there were some yellows in the trees and the green. So in watercolor, what would you substitute for that, or what yellow would you use if you were gonna use a yellow?
I would lay the yellow down first in your first wash of color.
Okay.
Go from a cool green in the background. Don't paint the house. Come in with your cool green, in the middle ground, and then warm up in the trees. Get a light green in the trees, both trees that were in there, and then the lawn coming in gets a nice light green. Warm it up as you come forward. Let that totally dry, and then come in with your cool shapes and carve in, eliminating the all that light green that you just laid it down, because now watercolor is just totally subtractive, so you're just subtracting the shapes of cooler greens and dark greens within those trees, because it looks like you put a middle value green over the whole tree, and you wanted to capture that lighter green, and you couldn't because it's already. So you put the warm yellow on it, but it wasn't enough to lay that, illuminate that light green. You needed that white of the paper. For now, you could try wiping that off, re-wetting it, wiping it off, or just going in with opaque and make it a gouache painting. Which
that's exactly what I did. I came in with the yellow after the dark. So, okay, thank you.
Okay.
Liz Buckley Gear has a question.
Yeah, hi Steve. So it sounds like for your greens, you actually start with like the sap green and then adjust it with the blues and the yellows, rather than trying to put the blue and a yellow together and mix a green, which I was tried to do with my painting this time around.
I'll start with the sap and then just warm that up or cool that down.
Okay.
Depending on. And then in extreme cases, like if I'm painting irises, irises have that natural, beautiful viridian leaf. I'll tap into the viridian and just make sure I add a little bit of red to kill that acid, and then coming in with white or even a radiant blue to lighten that up.
Okay, and that radiant blue you mentioned, how close is that to like cerulean, or how you pronounce that?
It's cerulean is a deeper pigment,
Okay.
whereas radiant blue, and you can go to now. Hopefully, the art stores are opening. Just open up the cap at Blick. They probably don't like that, but I do that all the time. Just make sure you screw it on back on, but
yeah.
Just to look at the color. It's a blue and white mixture that resembles well the sky at like a 45-degree angle up in the sky, you know, that light blue sky.
Okay, because I don't always get quite the right blue I want for my skies, you know. So maybe I'll try. I don't suppose you know if they do it in their water soluble range or.
I don't know.
I'll look on the Blick website. So it's,
yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Just raise your virtual.
I can't find the hand raiser, but I thought.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Do you use the greens for? Have you ever used black, ivory black, and yellow?
I do. I don't have ivory black. I have a chromatic black. Which is a transparent black.
Mm-hmm.
It's the combination of viridian, alizarin, and probably ultramarine. It's all those dark colors that they mix together, and it gets a really nice, neutral, cool black. And then you mix in a little bit of black into the yellow. You don't want to do it the other way because you'll lose a whole tube of yellow into the black. So mix the black into the yellow, and then, you know, just see what kind of green that gets. The ivory black or lamp black will kind of give you a nice olive green.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to blue that up, add the blue. If you need to warm it up, add the yellow. Add more yellow.
Okay. Okay. Curious. All right. Thanks.
Good.
Like Lynette has a question.
Yes.
Hey, Steve, great teaching.
Thanks.
I just wanted to ask, I took a workshop with Joe McGurl, and then there was somebody else on Streamline Video that said, just in a fleeting kind of mention that sometimes things go warmer in the far distance. Do you know when that would be?
That in the well, certainly at sunrise, if you're doing sunrise sunset scenes, that's always going to be a warmer time. I think it was Richard's painting. He had a nice warm glow in the center of his painting. Let me see if I can find it.
Okay.
What about snow?
What about what?
Snow?
Snow? You're going to have, depends on if it's an overcast day, you know, your snow is going to be pretty much all cool, unless it's on the bright sunny days, your shadows are going to reflect, of course, the blue sky, and then the warm sunlight is going to be on that pure white snow. But don't try to avoid putting pure white on the canvas to reflect that. Use just those off whites ever so slightly, or select a very light white. I like using the Williamsburg bright. What's it called? Let me see if I can get it here.
Bob Krajewski talked about snow actually getting warmer as it goes back.
warmer or grayer as it goes back.
That was the reason I asked that.
Richard has had his painting in this week. It had that beautiful orange sky. That's a good example of that warmth way in the background. But he's got a nice cool hill.
I'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right, good.
Anyone?
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Was there a question, Kuhn? Did you have a question? No, okay.
All right.
Hey,
Good.
everybody, see you. We will have a recording of this, so look for that mid to late week, and we'll see you next week.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Mary.
Great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Mary and Steve. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.